Yo, what is going on, guys? SCJ here, back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Golden State Warriors and how the team may just go from worst to first next season. So if you guys weren't aware, which I assume all of you guys are if you're watching this video, the Golden State Warriors were the worst team in the NBA this season. This being because the Warriors lost superstar Kevin Durant as he left to join the Brooklyn Nets, and the two men who were the team's two best players, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, both suffered injuries that kept them out for pretty much the whole season. Steph only played 5 games this season, while Klay was inactive for the entire year. This left it up to the rest of the Warriors roster, which included 10 guys which are in their first 3 years in the league, including 6 rookies, then Draymond Green and D'Angelo Russell, then eventually Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins once they traded D'Lo for Andrew Wiggins. The team finished with a record of 15-50. Of course, the season got suspended and shortened for them due to the fact that only playoff teams and teams within 6 games of the playoff spot were being invited to Disney World's Wide World of Sports, thus why their record is only based on 55 games. When you're a bad team, and as bad as the Warriors were this season, aka a bottom 3 team in the league, you're guaranteed a top 3 draft pick. Which spot will the Warriors land? None of us know as of now, and none of us will know until the NBA draft lottery goes down, which who knows when that'll end up being as of now. Probably sometime in around August, and despite that, no matter which draft pick the Warriors land, they're going to be adding assumingly a really solid or even good player to their roster. It's assumed it'll be one of LaMelo Ball, James Wiseman, or Anthony Edwards. I personally think the best pick for them would be James Wiseman, as he was assumed to be the first overall pick before the season started, and the center spot is probably the Warriors' biggest need as of right now. But let me slow down there, as like I said, we have no clue which draft pick the team will end up landing, because as we saw with the Knicks last season, it doesn't matter how bad you are, you still might get screwed. Plus, the team seems to be really high, and they seem to love Kevon Looney, so who really knows? Nevertheless, though, the team is now guaranteed to be adding a really solid or good player to the roster in the offseason, which is a pretty huge deal and should be scary for the rest of the West or just the rest of the league. Not only will the Warriors be adding more talent to their roster for next season, they'll also be essentially adding the best backcourt of all time back onto the team. I understand it's really not a new addition and technically isn't new acquisitions for the team, but when your best player, who happens to be the best shooter of all time, only played 5 games this season due to injury, and your second best player, who will also be remembered as one of the best shooters of all time, missed the entire season, it basically feels like you're getting 2 new stars joining your team. Not only that, but Steph and Klay are also noted as being 2 of the hardest working players in the entire league. You're basically giving both of these guys even more time to practice and get ready for next season, whenever that ends up being. Letting Steph get reps to get back into his normal workload or minute load for a game, and allowing Klay a year and a half to rehab and recover from an injury that typically takes a year or less to return from, should have put fear in the rest of the league from the second it was announced that the season would be suspended and that next season would be delayed. The next thing I want to talk about is the team's roster and general manager Bob Myers. Bob Myers has seemed to find the right players and be maybe the best general manager of the 2010s decade. From drafting guys like Draymond Green and acquiring key veterans such as Andre Iguodala and Sean Livingston, just to name a few, he seems to always know the correct types of players or players just to put around Steph and Klay. Marquise Chris, Dragon Bender, Damian Lee, and of course their most known and best young player, Eric Paschall, have been all really good finds for Bob Myers and his Warriors team. Of course, it may be a little crazy or hard to say with that core group of guys pretty much leading the Warriors team to only 15 wins this past season due to injuries and trades, but they're of course all young players and none of them are superstars, all-stars, or stars at all. So to expect them to do better is a little crazy. Nevertheless, though, these guys are all very solid and talented players, and with each of their styles of play, it's easy to see them fitting in very well with Klay and Steph once they return. And just like that, there's a chance the team may have just found its deep and solid bench group for the future yet again. I'd assume that's something Warriors head coach Steve Kerr is very excited about, especially after this past season that he had to deal with. And lastly, I have to address this even though I don't believe it will happen, but for all the people who do believe the rumors, the Warriors have been rumored as the trade or free agency destination for the reigning MVP, Giannis Antentokounmpo. If you guys haven't seen it, I uploaded a video on why I don't see Giannis going to the Warriors, and I've gotten people arguing for both outcomes and coming at my neck, but I still don't see that happening. I will say, as time's gone on, I've felt a bit of an increase in the chances of that happening, but in terms of the amount I've felt the chances increase, it's been somewhere from like 1 to 5%, so not that much. Even with just a top 3 pick added onto the roster and not an MVP superstar like Giannis, I still think this Warriors team next year will be scary, especially if the draft pick ends up being James Wiseman. It would be like the 2014-16 Warriors with Steph, Clay, and Draymond, then Wiggins being like a better Harrison Barnes, and James Wiseman being like a more athletic and fundamentally sound version of Andrew Bogut. Plus, he already appears to be a better scorer than Bogut ever was, especially during his years spent in Golden State. Even if they do trade for Giannis and they don't have to give up Klay Thompson like insiders are saying they won't, which I think is mind-numbing for many reasons, or if Giannis just comes in the 2021 free agency, the team just gets about 100 times scarier than they might have ever been. But even if you do trade Klay for Giannis and instead go with either Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball, and one of them ends up becoming a stud, the team is still very, very scary. So pretty much, no matter what path the Warriors take, they're going to be scary as all hell once again. And the nickname many people gave them back in 2016 when KD joined, the Evil Empire, seems to be very fitting once again after only one season of the Empire being taken down, decimated, and destroyed. So with that, that's going to be where we end the video for today. I've been interested in looking at how the league will look next season lately, and I realized my most popular videos have been about why something will or won't happen. So I felt like talking about the team people either loved or hated for the last 4 years would be an interesting one. If you like this, then please hit the like button. If you want to see more NBA videos and content, hit that subscribe button. I'm SCJ, and I am out. Peace.